Hey everyone, I'm back with our math tip video, and today we're going to talk about decimals. So in fourth grade, students learn about place value, and up until this point, they've always seen the ones place as the end of place value, as the last place to the right. But in fourth grade, they begin to learn that it doesn't stop with the ones place, it continues to the right, and that those are decimals. So we're going to talk about how you can introduce this concept to your students. So students already know that when they have, let's just take, for example, the digit 4 in the ones place. As they move to the left on the place value chart, the value of that digit gets 10 times greater. So you have 4 ones, but as you move to the left and the 4 is in the tens place, it now has a value of 40, 10 times greater. As you continue to move to the left to the hundreds place, now the 4 has a value of 400, 10 times greater. And again, if they move to the thousands place, that 4 has a value of 4,000 now, 10 times greater. Well, that same concept applies, but in reverse. As you move to the right on the place value chart, the value gets 10 times smaller. Okay, so as you move to the right, we divide by 10. Now the value is 400. Divide by 10, the value is now 40. Divide by 10, now we have 4 ones. Okay, well, this process continues, and as you move to the right, you continue to divide by 10. So what is 10 times smaller than your ones place? Well, that would be 4 divided by 10, which is 4 tenths. Okay, so students already know about fractions. Students already know 4 tenths. Okay, so they're able to understand that this 4 tenths in decimal form is the same as 4 tenths in fractions. And we also discussed how this decimal point separates the whole numbers from the fractional parts. Okay, so 4 tenths, the 4 is in the tenths place. Okay, and then as they continue to move to the right on the place value chart, then they move into their hundredths place because hundredths are 10 times smaller than tenths. Okay, and they've already seen that as we talk about like 4 tenths and how 4 hundredths would be 10 times smaller than 4 tenths. Okay, now something that I find a lot of students have a misconception about is that they think there's a once place. So this is why it's really important for your students to understand why after the decimal point there's the tenths place. There is no once place, because if you had 4 once, for example, if you had 4 once, that 1 in the denominator tells you how many pieces your whole is divided into. So if your whole is divided into 1 piece, well, that would be 4 wholes. That equals 4. So the 4 would be in the ones place. So that's why there's no such thing as the once place. Okay, when you're in your ones and then you move to the right, you're dividing by 10, so it's now in tenths. Okay, and then again, hundredths, and then divide by 10 again, and you're in the thousandths place. So this kind of shows you how students can understand what decimals are and the place value of decimals. And that they don't just take ones, tens, hundreds, thousands, and then like memorize it in reverse with a THS on the end. They need to understand why tenths come after the decimal point, and then hundredths, and then thousandths, and connecting that back to their knowledge of fractions and the powers of 10 as you move on the place value chart. That's going to be the best way to introduce decimals to your students.